our Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Zahra Syed. Our top story tonight. As the month of Ramadan begins, Gaza continues to be plunged into a humanitarian catastrophe due to relentless Israeli airstrikes. The latest assault has killed 85 Palestinians and injured 130 others within the past 24 hours. 2 children have died from starvation, bringing the malnutrition-related deaths to 27. Israel's blockade obstructs vital aid, worsening famine risk with 1 in 6 children suffering malnutrition. Wafa news agency reports that Israeli strikes have destroyed residential areas in Khan Yunis and Gaza City, killing 16, mostly women and children. In Khan Yunis, Israel's systematic demolition has left entire neighborhoods razed. Meanwhile, an Israeli raid has targeted southern Lebanon, while Hezbollah retaliates against an Israeli military outpost. Israeli forces claim to have killed 15 fighters in central Gaza. Since October, Israeli assaults have killed more than 31,000 Palestinians. An International Court of Justice interim ruling in January ordering Israel to cease genocidal acts and ensure humanitarian aid to Gaza's civilians. Israel's revised death toll stands at 1,139. The Gaza City municipality has expressed grave concern over a worsening hunger and water crisis. The per capita allocation of water in the city has dwindled to approximately half a gallon daily, down from over 23 gallons before the war. Municipal spokesperson Hosni Mahna warns of potential deaths from hunger and thirst in northern Gaza if the humanitarian crisis persists. Mahna says the Israeli army has destroyed 40 water wells, 9 reservoirs, and over 26 miles of water networks. Fuel shortages since November have further hampered water pumping and waste management efforts. Mahna has emphasized the inadequacy of current aid in meeting the citizens' needs and blames Israeli targeting of infrastructure for the drastic water shortage. More than 700 Israeli academics are urging their government to swiftly address the growing famine crisis in Gaza. Haaretz newspaper reports that the petition highlights the dire situation unfolding in Gaza, where starvation is increasingly prevalent. The signatories have emphasized their distress over witnessing a humanitarian catastrophe unfold and warned that failure to act could tarnish Israel's reputation irreversibly. Meanwhile, the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees, or the UNRWA, has underscored the severity of the situation, saying that hunger has become widespread across Gaza. Israel's war has led to internal displacement for 85% of Gaza's population, while damaging or destroying 60% of the enclave's infrastructure. Calls for urgent intervention persist as Gaza's residents face severe shortages of food, water, and medicine amid a crippling blockade. Members of the Palestine Red Crescent Society are searching for corpses on roads and in the rubble in the city of Khan Yunis in Gaza after Israeli soldiers retreated from the city. Israel's war has pushed 85% of Gaza's population into internal displacement. They face acute shortages of food, clean water, and medicine, while 60% of the enclave's infrastructure has been damaged or destroyed, according to the UN. Israel stands accused of genocide at the International Court of Justice. An interim ruling in January ordered Tel Aviv to stop genocidal acts and take measures to guarantee that humanitarian assistance is provided to civilians in Gaza. The Muslim holy month of Ramadan began in many parts of the world on Monday, marking a period of pre-dawn to dusk fasting, prayer, and reflection for Muslims. Worldwide, the plight of the Palestinian people is a significant concern on Muslims' minds. President Joe Biden addressed this in a Ramadan message, sharing his and First Lady Jill Biden's best wishes to Muslims in America and globally for a safe and blessed month of fasting. Biden acknowledged the pain of Palestinians affected by the conflict in Gaza, including those with family ties in the U.S. He detailed the humanitarian crisis facing nearly 2 million displaced Palestinians and reaffirmed the U.S.'s leading role in delivering humanitarian aid to Gaza through multiple channels. That includes a temporary pier and airdrops coordinated with partners like Jordan. Biden also emphasized ongoing diplomatic efforts to establish a ceasefire and long-term peace, underlining a vision for a 2-state solution. Domestically, Biden said he has condemned the rise in Islamophobia and outlined his administration's plan to develop a strategy against such discrimination. He reassured Muslim Americans that they are valued and extended sympathies to those grieving amid the conflict. Meanwhile, tensions rose in Jerusalem as Israeli forces restricted Palestinians' access to Islam's third holiest site, Al-Aqsa Mosque, on the eve of Ramadan. Biden criticizes Netanyahu's handling of the Gaza conflict and urges a ceasefire. Details come after the break. Stay tuned and we'll be right back. Welcome back. President Joe Biden has voiced concern over Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's handling of Israel's war on Gaza, suggesting it could tarnish Israel's reputation. Biden emphasized the need for a ceasefire, urging Netanyahu to prioritize civilians' lives. He has proposed a significant prisoner exchange to initiate peace talks, particularly during Ramadan. While financially supporting Israel's defense, Biden warned against actions resulting in high civilian casualties. He expressed willingness to address the Knesset but avoided specifics. Israel's war on Gaza has killed over 30,000 Palestinians, mostly civilians. It has also led to the destruction of critical infrastructure, as well as ongoing shortages of food, water, and medicine worsened by Israel's blockade of humanitarian assistance. There is mounting international pressure for a resolution to the crisis. As Gaza continues to endure Israeli attacks, the arrival of humanitarian aid parachutes provide hope and some relief for its residents. Footage on Sunday showed humanitarian aid parachutes descending from Gaza's skies. Palestinians rushed towards the Yarmouk Bazaar to receive the airdropped aid amid scarcity. In recent days, several countries, including Egypt, the U.S., Jordan, Qatar, and France, began airdropping food aid into the war-torn enclave. Hisham Awartani, left wheelchair-bound after a racist attack on Thanksgiving weekend, has turned his attention towards the Gaza humanitarian crisis. The Palestinian-American student at Brown University was shot during a visit to Burlington, Vermont, while walking with friends. The three young men were speaking a mix of English and Arabic, and two were wearing keffiyehs, the traditional Palestinian scarf, at the time of the shooting. Despite his ordeal, Awartani has returned to school, inspiring others with his resilience. He expressed shock at being attacked in America, having expected it in Palestine, where he had previously been shot. Awartani is advocating for greater awareness amid escalating tensions. A new University of Chicago study shows widespread fear amongst Muslim, Jewish, and other students on college campuses due to their stances on the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Based on surveys of 5,000 students nationwide, more than half of Jewish and Muslim students say they feel unsafe. The study was conducted from December 2023 to January 2024. The report indicates instances of violence, Islamophobia, and anti-Semitism, often made worse by misunderstandings during passionate protests. Approximately 2 to 3 million students nationwide face personal threats due to their support for either side. University of Chicago professor Robert Pape, who authored the study, has highlighted the intensity of these fears, as more than 1,000 students have reported instances of intimidation or violence. The report urges campus leaders to condemn violence, initiate educational programs, and support research to foster inclusive environments. The 2024 Oscars witnessed a blend of glamour and advocacy for Palestine. Celebrities donned red Artists for Ceasefire pins on the red carpet, calling for an immediate end to Israel's war on Gaza. The pins endorsed by Artists for Ceasefire symbolize a unified plea for immediate peace, release of prisoners, and humanitarian aid to Gaza's civilians. Notable figures like Billie Eilish, Rami Youssef, and Ava DuVernay showcased solidarity with the cause through their clothing and their statements. Egyptian-American Youssef, who was nominated for Best Actor, expressed solidarity with the Artists for Ceasefire initiative during a red carpet interview with Variety magazine. He emphasized the urgency of a lasting ceasefire in Gaza. Indigenous actor and model Kwana Chasing Horse also joined Artists for Ceasefire supporters by proudly displaying the pin on her attire. DuVernay, nominee for Best Director, added weight to the growing chorus of voices advocating for peace in the region. In his Oscars speech, Zone of Interest director Jonathan Glazer denounced occupation and dehumanization. Pro-Palestine protests outside the venue brought traffic to a halt for more than 20 minutes. Anthony Bryson, a protest organizer, expressed the significance of seizing the global spotlight during the Academy Awards. The ceremony celebrated achievements in film, with Oppenheimer winning Best Picture and Cillian Murphy and Emma Stone earning top acting honors. The event marked a moment of unity and activism in Hollywood, amplifying calls for peace and mounting global attention on the Gaza crisis.
Right now, we stand here as men who refute their Jewishness and the Holocaust being hijacked by an occupation which has led to conflict for so many innocent people. Whether the victims of October the 7th in Israel or the ongoing attack on Gaza, all are victims of this dehumanization. How do we resist?
Former President Donald Trump made a splash at Philadelphia's sneaker convention last month. He introduced the Never Surrender high-top sneakers. Donning his iconic navy blue suit, white shirt, solid red tie, and black Oxford shoes, Trump presented the gleaming golden footwear. He said this is something he has been talking about for 12 to 13 years and anticipates its success. The flaxen sneakers, resembling Trump's hair and many aspects of his lifestyle, including his 18-karat gold toilet, bear an American flag and stitched capital T. The Florida legislature has approved a bill barring local governments from implementing heat safety measures for outdoor workers. The move is drawing criticism for jeopardizing workers' lives. The bill, endorsed by the Republican-controlled Senate and House, undermines efforts to mandate water breaks, rest, and shade for about 2 million workers in the state. Advocates warn of dire consequences, citing rising temperatures and increasing heat-related fatalities. Despite federal inaction on heat safety standards, Florida's move adds to a concerning trend across states lacking protections for outdoor workers. Critics highlight the disproportionate impact on marginalized communities, with people of color bearing the brunt of heat-related risks. The bill's passage disregards mounting evidence of climate change worsening the heat exposure. It has prompted calls for urgent federal intervention to safeguard outdoor workers nationwide. That's all from our Toronto studios tonight. On behalf of Muslim Network TV, we would like to wish our viewers a blessed month of Ramadan. Thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for the latest updates. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Assalamu alaikum and good night.